13 days from right now, old Lockjaw is supposed to be leaving this shop and headed to Joliet, Illinois for the first leg of Power Tour 2026. Well, as you can see, he's still sitting here about like he was last time you saw him. I've got all of these parts over here that have to be cleaned up. I got to go through the heads, lap the valves, new seals, new valve springs. The blower, we've got to spend a day or two modifying it. Then we've got a ginormous pile of new parts that go somewhere, whether it's in this block that basically has nothing in it. Maybe some of them go to the truck. I don't know because there's so many. But wait, there's even more. The blower drive kit we need to run the 671 on the LS 6.0. Well, it's in limbo. I have no clue if I'm going to get it in time. Just a wee bit panicked right now. Sure am. I got so much to do, I don't know where to start. But you got to start somewhere, so let us get busy. I'll explain the blower drive stuff, and we got last night I discovered we got an issue with the intake manifold I bought, that Holley high ram. It ain't gonna work. So that was a waste of money there. I'll explain that later, but for right now, let's get on into this motor build. I just spent a couple hours cleaning everything up. I did remember to put it in my purple power tank last night. Helped out a bunch, yep. What we're gonna do right now, I gotta go over and get the heads. Well, let me tell you this. Today, I would like to get all the preliminary stuff done. That means lapping the valves, new valve seals, springs, locks, retainers, get the heads done, ready to put on, check rod bearing clearance, and gap the rings. Speaking of clearance, if you recall last week, I left y'all off not knowing what I was going to do about the main bearing clearance. Well, we're going to send it. Yeah. I did some research on it, and it's about like I thought it would be. You got a bunch saying, yes, you need 1,000th per inch of diameter, which would mean at least 2.5 thousandths clearance. And then you got some that are actually proving they're wrong and saying, well, I'm running 1.8 to 2 thousandths clearance, running 7 seconds in the quarter mile in a 3,500 pound vehicle, been doing it for years and it's fine. So we're gonna send it with 2 thousandths clearance. The stock clearance, like I told y'all, this newer stuff's a lot tighter. I believe factory spec is 0.0002. That's 2 tenths, 2 10 thousandths, to like 2.2 or 2.5, somewhere in there. It's a pretty big range, but it can get really tight. We're gonna run, I'll just run 10W30 or something like that instead of the 1540 I was gonna run. Anyway, I'd like to get all the preliminary stuff done, well, all that I just mentioned, possibly get the rotating assembly in the block tonight. I'd like to have the thing running tomorrow evening, and then the next day get it in the truck and do all the stuff you got to do for that. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna get busy. Let's get the heads over here on the table, start working on them. I just bought this little apparatus on Amazon a couple of days ago. It's specific to LS heads. My old one, you know, you put it on a stud and chomp it on it. Well, these don't have studs, so you can't do that. Anyway, let me run this down. Hopefully these little fellers will loosen up. We're gonna get these here keepers out. Where's my magnet? Get these other little fellers out. Come on, man. Then you just back it off. I might go get a deep well socket here in a minute instead of this wrench. But anyway, you back it off, and there you go. You got your springs off. Now we can do, we're going to lap these 2 valves. And I'm not putting it together. I haven't cleaned these. I'm not putting it together until I do clean them. All right. One spring of the spring lock, keeper, whatever you want to call it. What's this thing on the top? Retainer. Anyway, our valve seals. Let me get something, see if I can't pull them off. These valve seals just pull off, I think. Yep, just like that right there. Oh, yeah. See, stuff like this, goodness, that is, look at all the sludge in there. Anyway, this is one of the things I do like about LS. This is so much simpler than the small block Chevrolet as far as change of valve seals. Man, that thing's hard as a brick, too. Anyway, I got all new springs, locks, the retainers, valve seals from Brian Tooley Racing. That's where my valve train comes from. The cam, lifters, lifter trays, and then the springs and all that. Anyway, let me flip this little feller over, and we got to get ready to lap the valves. Let me go get the drill and all that to do that with. I was just looking at the valve sealing area. I ain't sure that we need to lap the valves, fellers. That intake valve, I mean, it looks perfect. The exhaust, you know, they're going to look a little rough, but it's not pitted. We'll hit it just a little bit, I guess, since we, you know, going to have it apart already. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it unless I find one that's bad. If you've never seen me lap valves before, this is valve lapping compound. Put you a little bit on your valve seating area. I like to put a little Vaseline on the valve stem because you're going to be spinning it in the what's that called? Valve guide. Take your drill, got a hose, push her on there. Spinny, spin, spin. Let me put this on the fast speed. All right, let's see what we got, what we look like. That actually revealed a lot of little small pits. Huh. So maybe we do need to do this. Yep. All right, let me hit it again. All right, let me check it again. That looks mucho betero. I think we'll run with that. Let me see what the seat looks like. There's a wee bit of pitting here, but fellers, we ain't gonna worry about it. It ain't a race motor. I ain't got a lot of time to be spending on it. Yeah, I think that'll do. Let me do the intake valve real quick, see what it's gonna act like. Looks perfectamundo on the valve. What about the seat? Great googly moogly. I think we got it. Let me zoom on in and show you the intake. That's a little piece of trash or something right there. But yeah, it looks pretty good. There's a wee bit of pitting right there on the exhaust, but the rest of it looks pretty good. The valve itself looks beautimous. The exhaust valve, you can see a little bit of pitting. We ain't gonna worry about it. No, sir. It ain't a race motor. I got 14 more of these to do. I'll see y'all in, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. Last one here. It only took maybe an hour and 15 minutes to do all these. I thought it'd take a lot longer. All right, what we got? Valverini looks perfectamundo. What about the seat? Also know, by the way, while this is sitting here, never buy Dollar General brand oven cleaner because it's garbagery. Nope. Get brand name. It cleans a lot better. The dollar store brand, it beads up on the oil and grease. Yeah, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, let's see what our seats look like. The exhaust could be better, but considering the time crunch we're under, it will do just fine and dandly. Let me put this in the purple power with the other one. I think we'll start checking rod bearing clearance. I got a rod up here with a bearing in it. The rod and cap have 2 tang grooves, and they're both on the same side. These, I don't know if I told you or not, these are cracked caps. They literally, they're one piece when they make them and they crack them. And the lines here, they're not straight. It's just like a bumpy road. That way they mate together a lot better. If I can find a socket, I think they're 11 mama. I don't have one. Here's one right here. I'm missing the 11 mama impact, and I'm missing the 11 mama. What have I got here, fellers? This is a weird socket set. Let me try this one right here. See what it does. Yep. Anyway, we're reusing the old rod bolts. You can do that. They are a torque to angle, not a torque to yield, but a torque to angle from the factory. I believe it's 15 feet-inch-pounds, and you go 75 to 85 degrees. But once they've been stretched like that, they recommend you take them to 50 feet-inch-pounds. So that's what we're going to do. But I'm going to do it in increments. I'll just do it by hand, but probably 15, 30, and 50 will be all right. Like I said, I'm just going to feel by hand. Just tighten them up a little bit. A little bit right there. A little bit more over here. A little bit more over here. You don't want to just jam them all at once. Well, goodness. 50 feet-inch-pounds is a lot. That's on 50. Afraid I'm going to strip them out. This can't be right, fellas. No. Let me... Either there's something wrong with my torque wrench or something, because I'm gonna break them bolts. Let me do a little more research before I mess this up. Let me back these off. Well, I just did some more research, and most all of them are saying 50. One guy said 47. I got this torque wrench. It's a different one. It's set to 30. Let's just see if I can make it pop. I had that other set on 50, and it just, yeah, I didn't agree with what it was doing. So let me run this one up to 45-ish. There's 45. Let's see what that feels like. That's still pretty tight, but that other one, I don't know. Let me run it on up a little more, see what it feels like. Maybe maybe I won't break the bolts. Let's do 40, 47 like that guy said. It just, no. I'm going to strip the bolt out, fellas, because that, no, something ain't acting right. I don't know what it is. Let me just pause, because I don't like the feel of this at all. Nope. We're going to do 45. Of course, you know, you got the crowd that says, oh, you have to use new bolts. No, you don't. GM says you can reuse these 3 times. I just don't agree with that 50 feet-inch-pounds. Man, that's just, I didn't like how it felt. All right, there's 45. See what kind of clearance we're going to have. We're going to have 1.5. Let me do some research on that too, because like I said, that's tight. This is 2.1 inches, so it should be theoretically 2.1 inches of clearance. But like I told y'all, the new stuff is tighter. I mean, it goes along with the mains. So let me go in the house and do some research. This is what I hate about doing something new for the first time. I ain't got a clue what I'm doing, fellas. I'll be back in a little bit. Here's the deal. Just did some more research, and well, here's my thinking. You know, we're reusing the old rod bolts, and they're torque to angle, not torque to yield. Torque to yield, you use them once throw them away, like head bolts. But I've read that GM says you can use these bolts up to 3 times. And in my research, I saw one guy say, well, you shouldn't do the torque to angle because you'll stretch the bolt again. And so I settled on that, and I thought, well, I've got to use that 50 feet-inch-pounds. I think that's incorrect. I just did the torque to angle, and it feels about the same tightness. Check the clearance, it's still 1.5 thousandths. I also found a guy that claims that 5.3s are making 1,000 plus rear wheel horsepower on bearing clearances that tight. We're going to send it. There ain't but one way to know if something's going to work or not. Sometimes you just have to do it, and that's what we're going to do. We're under a time crunch. I don't have time to wait on another set of rod bearings. We're going to send it, yep. Let's check another couple of ones just to make sure that 1.5 is what it's going to be. Let's put these. Tell you what, I don't know if y'all can see it or not. The camera does zoom a lot better than my other one, but you can see how this is rough looking. It's not machined. It's because it was cracked, and that's the actual grains of the steel, and it makes it a perfect match. That's why they do it. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me put this in here. You see the line there? Let me get it like it's supposed to be. Right there where they separate. You might can see a little line right now because it ain't torqued. Well, if you flip this little feller around, look at that big old gap in it. That's how you know that you got it right or not. Anyway, I just want to show y'all that because when I first saw that the other day, took these caps off, I was like, what is wrong with these things? And then I remembered, oh yeah, they're a cracked cap. All right, the spec is 15 feet-pounds and then 85 degrees. There's 15. Now we're gonna go 85 degrees. That's almost 90. That's pretty tight for that little bolt. It really is, I think. Approximately there to about right there. What is our clearances? Well, it's 1 3/4. That's better than 1 1/2. All right, I got 6 more of these to check. I will write them down and I'll let y'all know when I get done. Last one right here. What do we have? 1 3/4. Well, maybe a little bit more. That's what most of them have been. I had one that was 2. The rest of them been about 1 3/4. Now, what y'all just witnessed on this rod bolt tightening thing, well, y'all didn't really see much of it, but I ain't gonna say I panicked, but when I'm doing something that I've never done before, new, I can sort of obsess over the information surrounding what I'm working on. It's like I've got to know every little detail about it. It's a curse at times, but the reason I'm like that is I want to be knowledgeable in it and I want to be good at it eventually. Anyway, and again, y'all know this, I'm sure. You got to watch the information you get on the interwebs because half of it, they don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, like the first guy that said, oh no, use bolt, you can't torque the angle anymore. I think he's wrong on that, but anyway, I think what I'm gonna do now, we'll get the heads out of the purple pyre. I'm gonna clean them. Might take me a little break, get off my knees. And when I come back, we're gonna start gapping rings. I'll see y'all in a little bit. Well, I got my knees rested up. We can go another 2 or 3 hours anyway. I got the block over here next to the vise because this is where we're gonna be filing rings and I don't have to walk back and forth 14,000 times. I am using Hastings rings. They are a chromoly top. They don't have, unless I just can't see, they don't have any marking on them. So that means they can go either way. Y'all see that, right? There's no marking there. There's no marking there. All right. What we got to do, put this little feller down in hither, just like that. I got to square it up with a piston. Get my feeler gauge, measure it. And I want about 28-ish thousandths on the top ring. The second ring, I don't know, 2, 3, 5 thousandths bigger. It don't really matter, to be honest with you, on the second one. But that's what we're doing right now. Very time consuming. Let's do a couple of them real quick. Take your piston like this right here. Shove her down in there 1 inch or so. Then you take your feeler gauges. Figure out where you're at. I'm gonna try, let's try an 18-ish, see where we're at. 18 goes. You want a wider gap because supercharging makes more heat. The rings are going to, the gap will close up the hotter they get. If it's too close, they'll butt, and then they'll do that right there, and they'll pop the ringlet off piston. Then you're gonna have a bad time if that happens. This is 20. Not really. So we're at 18 or 19. Let me get them over here and we'll go to filing on them. No, I do not have a ring filing machine. Well, I do. These 2 hands in this file right here. I'll just do that right there. I try to keep it square. Then I will do that to take burrs off the edges because you don't want them. Then let's go over here and do the process again of measuring. Square it up with the piston. All right, 20 wouldn't go a minute ago. What about now? Oh, yeah. Here's a 24. Yep, that goes plenty good. Well, let's just go straight to 28 if I can find it. There is 28 thousandths. Does it go? No. Yeah, it did too. So it's a hair over. It's probably 30ish. I don't know if I got a 30 here. Let's see. Yep. There's a 30. No, so it's right at 28.29. I got lucky on that one because, yeah, I fouled it once. I don't think I got a 29. Let's see. What if we did 25 and 4? I'd just like to see if it would go. Yeah, it's a 29 because the 30 wouldn't go. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. I got to do this twice to each cylinder at 16 times. I'll see you in a couple hours. Rings are gapped. And I wanted to show y'all this right here. If you will recall, when I was filing, when I got done, I went around and filed the edge of each end. There's a reason why. I just put this one on, and I went to turn it where I want the gap. It wouldn't turn because I didn't file it good enough that it was digging into the piston. I could actually see it cutting aluminum off the piston. That, my friends, is why after you gap your rings, you file that in. Make sure there ain't no burrs. And yes, I know they say, oh, don't be spiraling rings. There's something going on with this piston. Because now the good end that I didn't file is hanging up. This is interesting. Well, do some investigating. I'll be back in a little bit. Trying to make sure I don't break this ring. Getting it back off. There we go. Now, let's stick that good end. Or did I file both of these? No. I can feel a burr on it. You can tell. I can tell I did not file that end. I've never run into that before. Here's the end I filed. Not hanging up. Here is the end I did not file. I can physically, I can't even push it. What in the world, man? I've never run into this. These are Hastings rings. I've used them a million times, but, I guess I'll just go ahead and file the ends of them anyway. I don't feel nothing now. Before I put that little feller back on, let's just test it. Put her in the groove. Yes, sir. See, I can push them both around now. Very odd. Anyway, you're not supposed to spiral these on. I've got these little ring, whatever you want to call them. The ring will just go flying across the shop. I got tired of that, so I said, "Fooey on it, I'll just put it on like I always do. Spiral it. If you're careful, you ain't gonna break it. You got a bigger chance breaking it trying to get it back off like I did. But anyway, I'm squeezing them in the groove. They're turning now. Awesome. My oil ring, if I can find the end of it, where that rail, that zigzag rail, where it meets, I usually put it by the wrist pin, and it's got a rail on top and bottom. They're supposed to be an inch either way from the split of that center rail, but I can't half see, and I don't know where the end of that went to. Right there. All right, that's where I want them. I want the second gap. This is the front of the motor. I want my second gap about right there, and then the top gap will be about right here. Let me get it and put it on real quick like. Tell you what, let's just test it. This is the non-filed end. It feels good. Yeah, they're both doing all right. This one had no markings, so it can go either way. And there you go, fellas. We got piston rings on our first piston. Set this out of the way. I got 7 more to do. Well, I got all the rings on the pistons. They're ready to go. I was going to do trunnion upgrade. I've never done this before, so I looked online and see how you do it. We got to press the trunnion out. I thought about just taking a socket and humming a whop, but you got little bitty needle bearings in here. I don't want to do that. So we will wait. I got that press over there, but that's too aggravating for this. I got a little arbor press at Mama's in the basement, but it's late. She's in the bed. I don't want to wake her up. So we will do this tomorrow, and I'll explain why. Now, let me tell you all about what's going on with the blower drive. Basically, there's a good chance the Lockjaw will not leave here with a 671 blower sitting on top of that motor. And that's extremely disheartening and aggravating, because that, to me, other than him just being a big pile of rust, that was the focal point of this whole build, was that blower sticking out the hood. Here's why very quickly. Firstly, you remember the LS7 Holly High Ram I bought for $200 off Facebook Marketplace last week or last video? Well, I thought I had found the adapter plates to go from a cathedral port head to LS7 port intake. No, sir. Nobody makes them. The fella I got them from on eBay, no, they are for LS7 head to LS1 cathedral intake. So they're going back $200 something. So, well, on top of that, I bought the blower drive kit. Blower drive kit is the snout that bolts to the front of the blower. Big pulley, tensioner, crank pulley, and adapter and such for that. Well, I got it from Speedmaster. There was about the only ones I could find that had an LS drive kit. So I bought it. And it said built to order and then ships in 2 to 5 days. Well, I wasn't sure what build to order means. I kind of thought it meant, well, they just had to pick this part and this part and put them all together in a package. And I think that's what it is. But it's been 5 days and it's still pending fulfillment on Speedmaster's website. So I emailed them, got an answer today, said one part is missing. We'll get it next week. We'll ship it then. It'll be too late then because their shipping is so slow. Matter of fact, the adapter plate that was going to go on that LS7 intake, I ordered it. It's over a week ago and I just got it today. They're real slow on shipping. So that's why I don't have a drive and now I don't have an intake. Well, all hope is not lost just yet. alkydigger.com, which is in Nashville, by the way, they sell a bunch of 671, 871 blower stuff. Well, they claim they stock almost everything that the blower shop has. Got to looking on there, and they have an LS1 671 drive kit. Been talking to them, but I can't get them to answer me back today because I really need to know. But anyway, if their drive, I'll buy, and they have a Holly High Ram with their adapter plate on it. And if their LS drive kit will fit and they have all this in stock, if they will answer me back and say, yes, we have this, yes, it will work, I'm heading straight to Nashville. I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to cancel the Speedmaster order. I'm not fooling with Speedmaster anymore, I don't think. Anyway, that's where we're at. Hopefully, Alky Digger will come through, but I'm also going to do this too tonight. I've got that LS7 intake. Everything is the same, I'm pretty sure, except for the port size and probably the bolt holes. I'm going to center them up, that intake on, I got a 4.3 and a 5. Is it a 4.8? And a 5.3 sitting over there. Same block and everything. I'm going to set that on top of one of them blocks. I'm going to set my blower, or set my adapter plate on that. Set the blower on top of that. And go to measuring snout length according to, you have to use a Corvette dampener. It's short. Do some measuring, figuring there. If I have to, I'll buy a blower kit one piece at a time. Get the snout length, and I can fudge with spacers, and I can move it around on the adapter plate. That's my, after Alky Digger, that's my last hope, is can I piece a drive kit together and make it work. Going to try. I'm fixing to get over there now and do that, and hopefully I will let y'all know tomorrow if I can make that work, or maybe Alky Digger tomorrow will email us. Anyway, that's where we're at. Hopefully, this rusted pile of garbage is going to have a big 671 blower sitting out of the hood. Don't know yet. Anyways, I'm going to go in the house. Well, actually, I'm going to go over there and do that stuff. I'm going to the house. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Today's the next day, and we are over at Mama's in the basement. This is our arbor press. What we're doing is trunnion upgrade. The trunnion is this part here that spins. The reason we're doing this, twofold. One, see how that's got a flat instead of being all the way around? Well, you're limited to that much lift. because this flat part hits. Getting rid of that. 2, I don't know how common it is, but the little needle bearings in here on the trunnion, this can come apart. Those needles go through the motor and ruin it basically. So that's why we're doing this. What you do firstly, if I can find my big socket, where did it go? Here it is. You put a socket down and you put your, what's this called, rocker arm here. Then you get a 13 mama socket, sort of centered over there. Run this feller down and you go chompa, and it makes all the guts come out. There's the old trunnion. See all these little needle bearings? That thing comes apart and these go through the motor, and ruin it. Throw them in the garbage. Just clean it out a little bit, make sure there's no needly bearings hiding anywhere. Then you take what they call an install washer. It's just basically something for this to sit on. Then you get your new trunnion. See how it's round and not cut? Well, it lets it spin 360. Put that little feller down in there like that. Here are the bearings. Come in these little tubes. They got a little plastic thing in there to keep the needles from falling out during shipping. It goes in here just like that right there. Then you've got another install washer. You take a socket. You run your press down. And then you go chompa with the press. And it stopped right there. So I have to say, well, what is happening? Well, the install washer is cocked to the side and won't go over the trunnion shaft. So you got to center it. Put this feller back on. Just like that right there. Go chompa, and it went all the way down then. You take all this apart, and you should have a groove there. That's where your snap ring goes. So you get your little snap ring pliers. You put that feller over there, and then I've already done one of these. I thought this snap ring was in place. Well, I pushed on it, heard it pop. I don't know if y'all heard that or not. So just be sure and go around it and push it and make sure it's in the groove. Then it's basically the same thing for the other side. It goes just like that right there. And again, you know, that's got to get centered. So we'll go down a little bit. Well, it went all the way that time. I had her lined up. You take another snap ring just like it right there. You put it over this end here. And then you take your pliers or screwdriver or something, go all the way around, make sure it snaps in. Then, once you do that, make sure a little fella will spin. And there you go. Oh yeah, I got 14 more to do. I'll see y'all back at the shop. 64 years later, I got them all done. But we got some extra parts, and I don't know if that's good or bad. There's 1 bearing and 2 snap rings. I have double and triple checked, and they all seem to have the bearings, all seem to have snap rings, so I guess Brian Tooley Racing wanted to give people heart attacks by putting extra parts in there, making them think they left one out. I will double check them again before we put them on, but let's go to the house, and I think we'll start putting the heads back together. All right, we are back at the shop after spending 16 years on the trunnion upgrades, and here's what I got. Like I said, valve springs that came from Brian Tooley Racing. You get valve, it's a kit. It comes with the cam. Here's valve seals. Remember me saying a little while, yesterday that I liked LS valve seals because it was the washer, spring locator, and the seal all in one. Well, we get the regular old seals to put back on it. Here is your spring locator. Goes right there, and it's a whoosher to keep the spring from digging into the aluminum head. But you have to put these on first before you put the seals on. So let's do that. Just like that right there. And most of the time these seals, well, you just push the little fellers on about like that right there. Let me get these on, and I'll come back and we'll put springs and valves in. Valve seals are installed. Now it's time to do valves and springs, keepers and locks, or retainers and locks, whatever you want to call them. I like to lube the valve stem up a little bit. You gotta be careful. Well, it went right through, but a lot of times the valve stem will hit the seal and it'll push it off. But it didn't that time, it went right on in. Give her some more lubrication on the exhaust, because we're doing 2 at a time. Just like that right there. I gotta go get my tool. What'd I do with it? It's right here, I see it. Trying to get this little feller situated. And I got strings from my Band-Aids getting in the way. I got, see all the Band-Aids? This is from using oven cleaner yesterday. It's like a meat tenderizer, I guess. It makes your hands real tender. And man, they get cut real easy when you got that on your hands. I wore gloves, was it Sunday afternoon? I was doing it, but yesterday I didn't, and it sure tore me up. Anyway, let's get this little feller in here first. Tighten these fellers down. They gotta be real tight, as long as they don't flop around. Now, I got to have 2 springs. There's a string for my Band-Aid right there. Put this feller on here. Tighten the springs down. Locks. Make sure they're going the right way. I got to have a magnet because my fingers are just, yep. Anyway, I tell you what, that's going to vibrate it. So let me get a wrench so I can loosen that by hand. Now maybe that won't vibrate them when they go flying everywhere. Ta-da! And that, my friends, is how you install springs on LS head. When I get done, I'll take a hammer and go chompa chompa. It's just to make sure they're settled in and make sure they don't go flying. Anyway, I got to do that 7 more times. I'll see y'all in a little while. Second set of heads are done. I do that just to make sure they're seated. Also on this valve spring compressor tool, this is the bolt that sticks up. You run the nut down to actually squish the valves. Be sure and lube it or you'll be galled in the threads and it puts little shavings everywhere. And I also, this is the part that sits right here. And, this sticks up. It goes like this. Well, you can see where it galled that. I ended up putting 2 washers on there, lubed them to act like a thrust washer. And I had no shavings and it was just smooth as could be. So remember to do that. Anyway, what is next? I need to put seals in the front and rear cover, cam bearings, and that's all I can think of right now. I mean, there's plenty. Let me go ahead and tell you this too. Little feller, it ain't on fire today. No, sir. The more I think of everything else that I've got to do, the more I realize, nope, ain't happening today. Well, I done spent 3 or 4 hours on the trunnion upgrade, putting the heads together. Then, well, in between there, I think, because I've told y'all, LS is a little different than small block Chevrolet on some things. And I will think, well, is this different than small block Chevrolet? So I'll go get on the computer, do some research, and figure out, yep, it's a little different. I've been doing that for an hour or 2. Well, just to mention, oil pump, you don't just bolt it on. You got to get it centered. Checking push rod length. Craziest thing I've ever seen, but it's different for LS's. Then this stuff here ain't different, but we got to check piston to valve clearance because Brian Tooley Racing told me this cam, I'm going to be pushing it on piston to valve clearance. Also need to check spring retainer to valve seal clearance. Needs to be 50 or 60 thousandths. All this stuff takes time. And I just forget about it. And I'll think, well, I can put that motor together in a day. I do it every time. And it usually takes 2 or 3 days. Anyway, what I'm telling you is I got a lot left to do. I'm going to do my dangest to get most of it done today. And then we'll hear it fire tomorrow. But I can't do nothing talking to y'all, so go away. I got to get busy. I'll see y'all in a little bit. Till the next day, again, and I don't know, I've lost count of days, fellas. I'm running around in circles like a chicken with his head cut off. Well, we had some major issues yesterday. Well, y'all saw me put springs on the heads. We did the trunnion upgrade. I did all the preliminary stuff I could think of. I changed, where's the crank? Right here. I changed the cam sprocket on the crank, put seals in front rear cover. I know there's something else. But anyway, I decided, well, let's go ahead and put cam bearings in the block. Well, MLS says, no, sir. You ain't going to do that today. You ain't going to do it tomorrow. Here's what happened. Here is the cam bearing I tried to install. And see how rough that edge right there at the end of my finger is? It ain't supposed to look like that. It's supposed to look like this, nice and smooth. Well, I did not one, not two, but three like that. Let me tell you why. I used my universal cam bearing installer. Used it 1,000 times on small block shimmy lays. Well, it don't work on LS's. This is the one I used. It won't fit on this big one. So you have to use this one. It's kind of sloppy, but that's why it's got 4 separate jaws. It expands, tightens up on the bearing. But if you look right here, this, where my finger is, that edge, well, that's what's supposed to push on the cam bearing once you tighten it up. Well, that's really thin, really small. Plus, these, I don't remember on small block Chevrolet, but these have a really good chamfer on them. And I put that on there, tightened it up, and this little feller here said, well, we're going to keep on pushing through the bearing instead of push the bearing in the hole. And that's what marred them up like it did. So this, nope, don't use that on LS. I got on YouTube after this happened. I was like, what in the world? So I found a guy that was installing LS cam bearings. He used a dedicated installer for LS. I got one coming. Won't be here till tomorrow. I got another set of bearings coming. They should be here today sometime. So we're not going to sit around and do nothing waiting on cam bearings. But anyway, I watched that guy's video. He used his dedicated installer first. Bearing went right in. Then he purposely did one of these to show you what would happen. It did what mine did, but it wasn't nowhere near as bad. And he cleaned it up and used it. So that, you know, made me feel a little bit better that I'm not a Dumas and don't know how to put bearings in an LS. So let this be a word to the wise. Don't use the, what is that called? Universal cam bearing install tool on an LS. Nope, you're going to have a bad time. Get you one dedicated for it. I could make one. I don't have the material, I don't think, and I don't have the time. Speaking of time, well, when that happened last night, I just gave up. Went in the house, and I'm almost to the point of saying phooey on the whole thing. Not even doing power tour, because it's just one thing after another. But, I mean, that's just, you know, backyard butchery MLS stuff. Deal with it every day. Anyway, what we're going to do right now, let me show you. Good Lord willing, today is going to be, can we tear apart, rebuild, and modify a 671 blower to go on this motor without any MLS happening? Probably not, but we're going to give it the old try. Let me get it over here on the table, and I'll explain what we got to do. Here the big fella is. This is a childhood dream of mine we were about to fulfill. I've had this blower since I was 14 years old, maybe younger than that. But here's what we've got to do. We keep the front cover. It goes here. You have a blower snout that bolts to this, comes out with a big pulley. Tensioner hooks to that, and you got a pulley on your crank. You know, the big old cogged pulleys that you see, that's what we're going to be running. What we have to do, and I don't understand why because I can't get a straight answer, but what we have to do is basically leave, there's one end plate here, one end plate here. We've got to basically take this housing and rotate it 180 and put it back together. I don't know why. That's just what they tell me to do. What we got to do first, pull these gears off. And you got to do them a little at a time because this times the lobes. If you just pull this one off, it won't come off. These will jam. So you got to do this and a little till you get them off. There's bearings and seals back here we got to change. Bearings and seals back here we got to change. And then I can buy the covers. Alky Digger has them, or I can make them. I'll probably just buy them just for, you know, time's sake. New bearings and seals go back here. And That's basically it. There are a couple of holes we had to drill and put plugs in because it's the drain back hole from the old blower, or from when it was on the Detroit. It has this mounting or hanging tab. It went right here. You know, these are, I mean, not super heavy, but they are kind of heavy to be. These mounted on the side of the motor on a inline 671, so it was on an inline 6 GMC Detroit diesel. And they would hang it by these tabs and then get the bolts started. They're called hanging tabs. You have to cut them off because they hang down below the bottom. I already cut it off last night because I wanted to put it on our plate over there and just do a mock-up. So I already cut it off. That's one modification done. What we got to do right now is get these apart. New bearing and seals, got to clean it up. The Mises, it sat in my shop, or sat over at Mama's for years and years in the basement. I brought it over here, sat in my garage for years. The Mises had put junk all in it. It's sort of locked up. Got to clean it up. We got to do extra pins in the rotors. I'll show you that. But right now, let's get these gears off. Let's take the bolts out first. Ooh, that there's tight. That's wrong size. Nope. You know what? They're fine thread bolts, and I don't have fine thread bolts. I give up, fellas. I'm fixing to go in the house and sit down. We ain't seen worry about power tour. Nope. All right, I had to go to Lowe's to get these two bolts because there's no fine thread bolts in this shop anywhere, 5/16. The bolt store was closed, and Lowe's didn't have any fine thread, so I had to buy coarse thread, cut the threads off, run a die over, and make my own bolts. But I think this is, well, it's about ready to come off. So there you go. When doing this, you want to mark them because they are timed, and these rotors will have one section like right there. It's a missing spline. They both should point the same way, but they're not. Oh, that's odd. That one's lower than that one, but anyway, you have to mark your gears and put them right back like they were, and there should be shims, I believe, yeah, right here. This is how you time the lobes in here. If you get them wrong, they'll crash into each other. I punch marked the gears. I punched two here, and then the one that's in the middle of them, I punched it. And I know the one with all the holes, I know which side it goes on. That's going to be the drive side. I'm going to try not to go too in-depth because I got to get this done. But this is your drive gear with it sitting on the 671, hanging on the side of it. You got gears that come from the flywheel part that eventually get up here and turn this. It turns this away. The air on the blower goes around the side, not down the middle. So it has to turn this way. And you can't, I mean, you would think just take this gear over here, or you don't even have to do that. I don't know why they do like they do. I don't know. Why don't you just take this gear here, drill some more holes in it, put it here, put your snout on it and turn it. I don't know. I do know that these bolt holes are not the same, and you have to figure out which way your case is going to turn. I think this is wider than this, and I've got a 671 small block Chevrolet blower intake over here. That's how I figured out which way the case is going to go. Your wider bolt pattern goes to the front on the right. I got to remember that, or you can put it together backwards. Anyway, what I'm fixing to do now, I think I'm just going to turn the camera off, fellas, get this tore apart, because I don't know that we're going to get this done. Anyway, let me get tore apart, and I'll be back in a little while. Show you what I got. Would you look at it? Would you just look at it? We have a 671 blower in pieces here. Let me explain real quickly why y'all didn't see any of this. I'm aggravated. That's what the deal is. Well, everything is just working against me the last few days. Cam bearings, the blower drive kit from Speedmaster. They emailed me back a little while ago, and I said, cancel it. Fooey on y'all. It's going to be 2 or 3 weeks now for it'll ship. I said, fooey on y'all, cancel it. I don't mean to get aggravated on camera, but fellas, we're running out of time, and I've got a tremendous amount of work still. I ain't even got the motor started to put together. Anyway, I just went in the house after I got back from Lowe's going to get those bolts. I just sat there for 2 hours, cooled off, and learned more about this blower stuff because I don't really know what I'm doing, and there's no real good write-up online. I learned everything I know about converting them from 2 videos on YouTube. And anyway, I ain't gonna get into all that, but I went ahead and just turned the camera off and got her tore apart. Let me turn around and show you what we gotta do. First thing we gotta do is clean it up. But let's look inside of it, and there's minimal scratches. That end plate, it don't even look like it's ever touched. Well, maybe 1 or 2 scratches. That's probably recent from all the garbage the Mises put in there. This end plate here's got 1 or 2. Nothing. No, it looks good. This blower has been apart because it has shaft savers on it. That's what that feller is right there. You drive it on because the original shaft probably had, from the seal rubbing, it probably wore a groove in it. That there feels pretty good. But you drive that on, it's called a shaft saver. And I was aggravated because I thought the bearings and seals that I bought off eBay wasn't gonna work because they were 4 shaft savers. Well, luckily, I bought the right ones by mistake. Anyway, what else we got to do? We got a pin. It's got 1 pin here, but we got to pin it here and here also, just on the drive end, because these blowers only turn like 2,500 RPMs on the Detroits. This is going to turn, well, if it's a 1-to-1 ratio, it's going to turn 5,000-6,000 RPM. So you have to pin them to keep them from coming apart and crashing and tearing everything up. What else do we have to do? Of course, new bearings and seals here and that end plate. This is what I have struggled because I think I done told y'all. I don't know, but I don't know what I'm doing here. Not exactly. But I have determined from watching videos and reading stuff online, the rotors have to be swapped. But I didn't know if it was just end to end or was it side to side and end to end. And I've determined that we're going to do it end to end and side to side. Just anyway, I ain't going to get into all that, but I'm probably going to turn the camera off, get busy. It's late because I wasted all day long going run around town looking for stuff and trying to research how to do this. I might get it done tonight. Oh, I just remember too. You got to plug these holes. These are drain back holes for when it was an oil bath type deal. You got to plug them on just the front. Anyway, I'm gonna turn the camera off, get busy. If I don't get it done tonight, I'll finish it up tomorrow. Whenever I get it finished up, that's when I'll see y'all again. Well, here's the deal, fellers. I'm not sure what day it is. I do know the last 24 to 48 hours has been, yeah, my head's ready to explode. Trying to get this stuff done. And then right in the middle of it, I'll think, oh crap, I need this. I got to have it right now. So I got to quit, go in the house, look for it, order it, cry because it costs so much. Come back out here, try to pick up where I left off, and you know, I done told y'all the blower, I don't know what I'm doing. As you can see, it's still in pieces, yep. I was to the point of literally saying, nope, we ain't doing power tour, but let me turn the camera around, show you what I got. Would you look at it? Would you just look at it, fellers? Every piece I need to put that blower on this motor -1, and it's only because I forgot to grab it, and he forgot to grab it, throw it in the truck. Every bit of that came from alkydigger.com in Nashville, Tennessee. Very knowledgeable people, very nice people. If you live in the Nashville, well, they got a website, alkydigger.com. I'll put it on the screen here. If you need anything, 671 blowers, there you go. Yep, got every piece of it. He knew pretty much what I needed as far as length of the snout. Now we are going to put it on the motor and you know, test it, make sure we're lining up. If it don't, well, he's got more stuff that I can go get. What we forgot to get was the tensioner arm, but I don't need that to do mock-up for snout length. So I'll go get that Monday or Tuesday, and we'll be good there. But this is awesome. I feel much better now about everything because that's not in limbo anymore. It's at my shop. We can put it on. Yep. Cam bearings are here. I'm not sure if the installer is. I didn't check the front porch a while ago. Let me go check that in a minute. But the reason this ain't together, well, I've spent half the day in Nashville up there at Alky Digger, you know, getting parts and whatnot. What I was fixing to do, let's just go ahead and put it together. You gotta put these freeze plugs right here because this is where the oil used to drain back when it was sitting on the side of a inline 6 Detroit diesel. Well, if you don't plug them, then the oil that runs in the front cover here will just drain right out here. That ain't good. So we got to knock them in. Then once we do that, we can start putting this little fella together. Once again, you got to make sure you're working on the front because you have to turn things around. The best way to tell it, your wider pattern needs to go right front. Look at driver's side front. Let's just say that, driver's side front. I'm gonna put some RTMV on these little fellers here. These are really small, 9/16, as a matter of fact. Comma, punch, and hope this goes done in there. Look at there, fellers. Like it was meant to be. All right, let me do this other one real quick. You can drill and tap these for a pipe plug, if that's what I was going to do, but I didn't have any pipe plugs. So luckily I found these freeze plugs because I completely forgot to get some today. Yep, sure did. You're going to go a little bit below the surface, you know, because you got a plate that bolts here, but that is done. Yep. Let me clean these ends up a little more because there's some, they don't take gaskets. You put anaerobic Loctite. It's sort of a form of gasket. That's what you use when you're going metal to metal, no gasket. Let me clean these up a little bit more and we'll start putting this thing together. Well, I completely forgot about something. You want to cut these bars out of the top. They ain't really needed. They do leave them in the bottom. I think it's to give it stability because this is where your tightest clearance is from your rotor to case down here at the bottom. Leave them. We got to cut these out. The reason I'm down here, you know, aluminum makes a tremendous amount of dust. And I don't want it all in my freshly clean parts up there. Well, there's one. Let me do the other one. And I'm going to take the grinder and smooth them up a little bit. Got the case cleaned up, but I completely forgot about this. This morning before I went up to Nashville to get all the parts, I was working on these. You have to do what they call triple pinning. They come with one pin right there. Then you drill two more, one here, just on the drive end. Because, you know, small block Chevrolet versus diesel, a lot more spinny fast and a lot more torquing. These will spin and get out of time and crash the blower. So what I got to do now is drive the pins in, peen the hole, knock out a freeze plug, and blow out the shavings. Let me get that done. When I get back, we'll start putting the thing together. You got to remove one from this end, one from this end. That way you can blow back and forth with air, get all the shavings and stuff out. All I'm going to do is drill a hole in the center with my drill screw. Well, that ain't going to work. I was going to get on it with my slide hammer. I tell you what, I think I got a long screw. Let's put that in there. I'm afraid if I try to knock it, it'll fly off in there and then there I'll be, won't be able to get it out. Approximately there, where'd my slide hammer go? Chompa, chompa. Well, it just pulled the screw out. Well, let me see if I can turn it sideways. I'm afraid to do. I'm trying to avoid MLS. When you deal with MLS every day, you do things to avoid it. But I'm going to try to get on one side and turn it. Maybe I can pull it out like that. When I figure this out, I'll be back and hopefully I will have accomplished what I need to accomplish. Well, I finally got it out. I've already done one. This is the second one. But y'all watch all the shavings that come out of this. Y'all watch all the shavings that come out of this. What's going on? There's no shavings. The first one it had the whole handful of shavings. This one here, they've gotten wet. I cleaned them up a minute ago. The shavings are wet. Yep. What did I tell y'all about MLS a minute ago? See if I can dry them up with this here. See the oil coming out on this end? Maybe that's what it is then. It's oil and not water from where I cleaned them. So, I don't know what you do about that. That was not in the instruction manual. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Yeah, it's a boatload. I'm gonna take it outside, rinse it out with water. Because that's oil. There's a bunch of oil down in there. All right, I think I got it dried out. But knowing, you know, MLS, what will happen is what little bit of moisture is left in there, it'll rust out the freeze plugs eventually. But hopefully I'll be dead and gone before it does that. I don't see any more shavings coming out. So, let me get the freeze plug. We're gonna put a little bit of stuff around it. Pounder ends like you would any other freeze plug. You're gonna make sure it goes below the surface here. Oh yeah. Now the other one, I sort of boogered it up with the screwdriver. So I had to clean the end up with a file. But let's just dress this one too, just to make sure, you know, that freeze plug ain't sticking up or no other burrs. All right, let me get some memory cloth. I'm gonna clean these shaft savers up a little bit. Got them cleaned up best I can. I'm gonna have to do. Now what we gotta do is pin the shaft to the rotor. Here's the pins. They're tapered. They're goofy looking. They got grooves in the side of it. I guess that's to dig into the aluminum. Gotta put Loctite on them. I got some red right there. But here's the deal. The first one I did today, my drill bit wobbled terribly bad. I don't know which one it was. See if it's this one here. I don't think it is. No, it's on the other rotor. I'm gonna leave it out because it goes almost all the way in before it starts grabbing. And you have that pin come out, you're gonna have a bad time. Hopefully 2 is enough to hold it. Let's get them driven in. Red. Well, this feller here ain't been used in so long. I can't get nothing out of it. Let's cook this little feller good. This is the taper. This is a small end right here. You don't want to drive it in backwards because, well, it just ain't gonna work. I gotta get this off my hands. Go to driving. Let's scoop this down a little bit. I'm having to do it on the angle because this end is acting like a foot. Keep it from rocking. Now, to keep from beating and banging the rotors, I'm gonna use this punch, hopefully. Come on now. Tell you what, let me get a little bit better punch or something. I got a big old bolt. The end of it's, you know, concave. That'll help me stay on it and not bounce off. Now you got to drive it about 1/8 inch below the surface. What do we have? I don't think that's 1/8. No, it's about 1/2 of an 1/8. Let me go just a wee bit more. Oh yeah, 135. Now let me clean that up real quick. Then we gotta peen the aluminum around so the little fella don't try to work out. Just, you know, help keep it in. I just took this smaller punch and I'm just going around the outside edge of it and hitting it. It's deforming the aluminum, making it fold over. It'll hold the pin in, hopefully. Oh yeah, that closed the hole up over that pin beautifully. Yep, I got one more to do in this one and then only one more in this one because let me just show you. That one hole that wallered out on me, was it this one here? Yeah, see that pin goes, I'm afraid to use it. Well, I tell you, yeah, see it's going almost all the way in. Yeah, we ain't gonna use that one, nope. We'll just put one and hopefully it don't fly apart. Let me get this done, I'll be right back. Well, I might have messed up. Y'all know how I am. I can't leave well enough alone. Where is it at? This one here. The one that the hole was watered out by the drill bit. Well, I went ahead and put a pin in it. I drove it deeper, lots of Loctite, and as you can see, I peened the devil out of it. Dang near closed the hole up. Of course, I've, cleaned that up. The reason why is that hole goes to, these are hollow. And that hole goes to the inside of these. And my thinking is gas will get down in here, build up. This little fella will backfire, and this will literally be like a bomb. And, I don't like thoughts of that. So maybe it won't come flying out. Maybe gas won't get down inside them. Let's put the little fella together. Here it comes, fellers. Put this little fella together. Now, the way I know these, where they go, this is the drive, the original drive rotor, and I know that it's going to still be the drive rotor, so I put D all over it. That's how I know, and I know it goes on the right-hand side. You got a spline missing in the shaft. They both point to 3 o'clock. Go ahead and put this little feller down in here, just like it right there. We'll get this other little feller. Do the same thing, point it to 3 o'clock. Where is it at? Right there. Just like it right there. What we gotta do next is use our anaerobic gasket maker. This is what you use, like I told y'all, there's no gasket between the case and the bearing plate. So you use, I gotta cut the end of that, by the way. You use anaerobic gasket maker. And anaerobic means, in the absence of oxygen. So this does not cure till we mash her down. Now comes the part of putting this bearing plate on. It says top. Well, that's the way it needs to go. Remember, this used to be the rear of the blower. We're keeping the plate with the end of the blower it was on. I don't know if I'm going to tear these seals up or not. Well, something ain't right here, fellas. Nope. What in the world, man? What in the world? That's wrong seals. Wrong seals. Yep. This will conclude the assembly of this 671 blower. Sure will. I thought these were shaft savers. Don't know why. I never measured them. Well, y'all know me, fellas. I'm just dumb most of the time. Never done this before. I don't know what to look out for. You're going to make mistakes. These measure 1 inch and 175, I think it was. That's stock size. Shaft savers would be 1 inch and 3/12. It's 5/16. Got the wrong seals. I'm not sure this is going to happen. I don't think I'm going to be able to get the seals in time. But I'm going to go in the house. Maybe we'll get out here and put the motor together tomorrow. I ain't gonna worry about it, fellas. I'm disgusted. I'm over the whole thing. Tis the next day, and I've calmed down a little bit. I'm telling you, fellas, the last week or so, yeah, it ain't been good for me mentally. Whew. But I woke up alive. I'm still kicking, still moving. I can still do stuff. So let's do stuff. The seals for that blower, I'm sure Alky Digger will have them. Well, I know they do. I done looked online, and I'll go get them Monday, and we'll get that put together, hopefully. We still have a tremendous amount of work to do. Well, let's just walk through it real quickly. Let me turn the camera around and I'll show you. We've got to cut the bed out for our step notches and our drive shaft, because this is up. When it goes down, this sticks way up here. We got to cut us a little thing out here. Got to make us cross member with our little drive shaft loop. We got to install the motor transmission, mount the cross member, shorten the drive shaft. Of course, we have to get the motor built, get the blower built, put the front end back on. I don't know if I'm gonna run without a hood or just cut a hole out. I ain't decided yet. Got tires coming. Should be here Monday or Tuesday. Exhaust. I gotta build exhaust. I ain't got the mufflers. I was just looking a minute ago. They got center inlet or offset inlet. Probably gonna do offset. I gotta order them tonight. What else? I mean, there's a bunch. I've forgotten half of it. I made a list last night and it's very long. Anyway, let's get over here, put this motor together. Fingers crossed, fellers, that we don't have any major problems. I ain't forgot nothing. I don't tear nothing up. We've got to hear this run tonight. I probably won't be narrating a whole lot because Like I said, I got to get this done, fellers. But this here, you mark the top. With it sitting upside down, the oil hole goes around 9:30, 10 o'clock. This is not like a small block Chevrolet. It does not have a groove around here. It's just got a elongated hole about 9:30, 10 o'clock. If you don't get that right, well, it ain't gonna be good for you. Y'all see what I did, didn't you? My little cone, it didn't come with one, I don't think. So let me see if the cone off of my universal one will fit. Or maybe it's laying over on the table and I just overlooked it. Be right back. I found it. It was stuck in the bottom of the box. But I gotta calm down. I gotta slow down, fellas, because when you get in a hurry, that's when you mess up. Yep. What did George's daddy used to say on Seinfeld? Serenity now! I gotta keep repeating that or I'm gonna go crazy. All right, fingers crossed, fellas, that I don't mess this bearing up, because if I do, well, we're screwed. Seems to be doing all right. One thing I like about a dedicated one, I can slide it in and out and look at it. The what is it called? The universal one, you have to loosen it up, pull it out, look at it. That don't look bad. We didn't mess it up. Let me verify. I need a pick. Verify I got my oil hole right. I might need to come forward just a wee bit. Or I mean backwards, not forwards. Wee bit more and I think that'll be it. Yeah, we'll call that good. Let me get the rest of them in. I don't know if y'all can see me or not, but cam bearings have a certain spot they go in. 1 and 5 are the same, and then 2 and 4 are the same, and then 3 is all by itself. And they are numbered on the box. It tells you where they go. 1 is in the front. The numbers are on the outside of the bearing. You can barely see them. To keep from having to pull this out every time, let's go ahead and mark all the bearings. Because I got me a mark here where the oil hole is. We will do it just like that right there. Let me mark all of them. You go there, sir. Be mindful too when you're marking them which side the hole goes on. Because if you get her flipped like that and you line that up with the top, no sir. Put an X. That tells you that X, remember, goes to the left. I just about put that in backwards because I didn't have an X. You can see the hole, so that makes it simple, but if you put an X, you'll really see it. X right by the top dead center mark. All right, and there's where the old, I can see where the old bearing was. That'll work. Let me get the other 3 in, I'll be back. Cam bearings are in with no fuss, nothing tore up. We can put the crank in now, but you gotta lube them bearings up. You don't want it dry. Also, after you get done installing cam bearings, be sure and blow it out, because it does create little shavings because it's a press fit. And don't forget the sides of your thrust bearing right here. Here comes the crank-a-link. Oh yeah, what y'all think about that right there? Let me get my caps on, I'll be right back. Number goes to driver's side. The little ears go back except for the last one, number 5, one in the back. Peck them down with a Hummer. Pretty sure I injured my back a minute ago, because to get the front cam bearing, you gotta go from the back. You know, he-manned this thing, and yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll need back surgery in the next year. All right, fellas, it's time to torque a lork. First pass is 15 foot-pounds. Why won't that go on there right? I'm not going to take them all at once. Just tighten a little bit, and then the next pass we'll do the clicker. I also know, by the way, remember I was confused about the main bearing tang grooves. It doesn't matter from what I've read. The tang can be on the same side, it can be on the opposite side, it doesn't matter. All right, now we're torquing them to 15 feetage pounds. Now the outside studs get the same thing. Now these get torqued to an angle of 80. 90s here. We're going to go back right here. Approximately there. I meant to start in the middle, but I don't think it really matters on the mains. Right there. One reason I don't like this is you can't come back and check them again. Because, you know, you're not doing the clicker, you're doing an angle. Will the crank still turn? Oh, yeah. Let's do the outside ones. They get a 50, 51 degrees, something like that. 45 is about right here. We'll go about 45. Yeah, 5 degrees probably ain't gonna make that much difference. Does it still turn? Oh, yeah. Now I get to put the side bolts in. I think they get 18 feetage pounds. I'll have to look that up and make sure. I was correct. 18 feetage pounds. That's a real quiet clicker, so I'll do the sound effect for you. Clicker, 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 and clicker. All right. Time for the Camelama Ding Dong. There it is right there. It is a Brian Tooley Racing cam. It is a supercharger cam. Here are the specs. Duration at 50. 226 intake, 250X on exhaust. I don't know why they do that X. This is meant for a 1.8 to 1 ratio rocker arm. Well, the stock ones, which were what we are using, are 1.7. So lift will be about 602 or 3 instead of that 644. If it was at 644, it would probably hit piston to valve. Anyway, LSA is 112.5. The blower will calm the chop down, but that 112.5, it should give us a decent chop. But fellers, at this point, I'll be happy if the little fella runs without any problem. Here is why I am going ahead and putting the cam in now. Oil pump mounts on the front, and the way GM does it, you know, and they built millions of them, they'll lightly bolt it, you'll finger tight, rotate it several times, it'll get that oil pump centered, and you bolt it down. Well, I want to do that without pistons or anything, but you got to put the cam in. Well, you don't have to put the cam in. You can just put the chain here and let it hang, but I want to go ahead and put the cam in and then do the oil pump. Here you go, little buddy. This is your new home for hopefully what is many, many miles of fun. Long bolt to help with installation and not beat the cam bearings all to pieces. Cam is in. All right, we got to get this fella on top dead center. I was looking for the piston to come up. I ain't got no pistons in it, man. I'm telling y'all, I'm just under a tremendous amount of stress right now. I don't know which way's up. That's about top. We got to put this feller here. Wait a minute. Getting ahead of myself. Cam retainer plate. Yep. I read that you want a new cam retainer plate because it seals up some oil passages. I guess that's sort of the main galley going to the lifters, possibly. It's got a little seal, and they say just for insurance, get a new one. So I did. And we're also going to put Loctite on all these bolts, the cam sprocket bolts, and the oil pump bolts. I don't care what GM or anybody else says. Backyard Butchery says you put Loctite on these bolts because of MLS. Yep. And this is a revised plate. The third gen uses a plate that uses regular old cap head, cap screw, hex head, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. The new design uses flat head with an Allen wrench. I was wondering something a minute ago. You know, a small block Chevrolet has a cam plug that keeps it from going out the back of the motor. This one don't have that. It's got that aluminum plate. And I thought, man, if it's bumping that aluminum plate, it seems like it wear it out. Well, it can't. This keeps it from going this way, and then the cam gear rubs here, keeps it from going that way. Just in case you were wondering. All right, we got to go dot to dot. I got to get this feller on here. and get it turned about right there. Pull this little feller back off. Where's my chain? Put that feller on approximately exactly right there. I'm not going to degree this cam. One, because of time, and two, I ain't going to worry about it, fellas, because we got to check piston and valve clearance anyway. If it's way off, we'll probably know there. 26 feetage pounds. Let me make sure she's lined up. Oh yeah, there and there. Chain's pretty tight too. Awesome, man. Earl pump. Here we go. We got to decide which O-ring to use. Remember on the 5.3, we got to figure out which one to use by the pickup tube we got. Now some fellas will tell you, you must take this plate off and use feeler gauges and all that. Here's my thought on that. GM built millions of these. This is what they did. They put that feller on just like that, got their teeth lined up. Where's my bolts? You run them in finger tight, just barely, so it can move around. Put this here bolt back in, and this is what you do. You go roundy, roundy, round several times, and that pump will center itself. Tighten the bolts down. If GM did it for millions of these, and you know they're still running, well, I think we'll probably be okay if we do it too. These get 18. Here's something I don't know if I should do or not. Remember how we did the modification to the oil pump on the 5.3 to up the pressure? Putting 2 or 3 washers, I don't remember, I'd have to look. I don't know if I want to do it to this one or not. I got to decide before I put the oil pump on. I think you can get it loose. I don't remember. I'll have to look and see how I did it because I don't remember. Let's continue on. Let's get the pistons in. I'll decide that before I put my pickup tube on. Well, here we go, fellas. Time to put the pistons in. I'll make sure my ring gaps are where I want them. Put that fella right there. Dot to the front. Where's my ring squeezer? Once again, whoever sent me this, you are the real MVP of this engine build. I love this thing. There we go. Number 1 is in. Let me get it down here on the crank-a-lank. Got to put a cap-a-lap on. Tangs go to the outside. Yeah, that's right. I'm not torquing any of these yet either. We'll do them all at once. Here's a little trick too. Used to, I would, take the cap off, grease each half. No, sir. This right here makes it much simpler. Grease them at the same time. Then take them apart. Every time I assemble a motor, I have somebody say, well, you didn't put no oil on the cylinder. Oops, wrong way. You didn't put no oil on the cylinder or the piston. Yes, sir, I do every time. I ain't no dummy. I built a motor or two in my time. I know you got to lube things up. I always oil the cylinders. Yep, always. Sometimes I'll oil the piston. Sometimes I won't. I didn't this time. And you know what? It'll be just fine and dandy. Sure enough will be. There we go, fellas. You can't really go by the chamfer on an LS because they're both the same, and the crank, I wouldn't call it a fillet or a chamfer. It's odd looking. All right, fellers. 2 down, 6 to go. I'll be back when I get the rest of them. Last 2 rods to be torqued. You go 15 feetage pounds and 85 degrees. Approximately there. Approximately there. There we go, fellas. Pistons are installed, rods are torqued. I was looking at the Earl pump. It's right here. Very easy to get to. If I remember correctly, you take this out, put a couple of washers, put this back in. Let me study up on that for sure. I will watch what I did, how many washers I put. I think we're going to do it. It ain't going to hurt. I'd rather have more oil pressure than less. I got the plug out of the Earl pump. We're putting this little nut in the plug. It's 1/8 inch. That's exactly what I did on the 5.3. I don't know what the clearances were on those bearings, but it had pretty decent oil pressure after we did this. If it's too much oil pressure, well, I'll have to take this back out. But it being supercharged, I want it to be, I want the pressure to be a little higher than normal. We'll torque this down to clicker right there. Let me wipe that off. We'll flip her over and start on the lifters and all that good stuff. We got to check push rod length. We got to check piston to valve clearance. We got to check spring retainer to valve seal clearance. Got to have about 50, 60 there. Preload on the lifters needs to be, for the Brian Tooley, he recommends 60 to 80. And then piston to valve clearance, at least 80 on the intake, 100 on the exhaust. These are lifter trays. If you're new to LS like me, you think, what in the world? Plastic. I got new ones because they are plastic and, it gets brittle with heat, oil, and all that. These take the place of the spider in a small block Chevrolet. Keeps a roller lifter from turning. If a roller lifter turns, it's going to wipe the cam lobe. So, just got done cleaning up the lifters. Let me get them put in here, get these trays put in, and then we got to put the heads on. As far as I can tell, you just lube the little fellers up, pop them in the tray. This being made like this also allows you to pull a cam without having to pull lifters. You turn the cam, it pushes them up in this tray, and the tray holds them. You hope, anyway. I check all the rollers too, make sure they're, not binding. I tell you what, let me clean those lifter holes with a rag real quick. Just make sure there ain't no big pieces of trash. Now you take those fellers, just like that right there. Drop them down in the holes. Come on, man. Now I gotta find my bolts. I don't know, they'll be with the old trays. I'll find them here in just a second. Hey, I found them. Put a little Loctite on this one here too. I don't want it coming loose. Nope, sure don't. I'd say though, you don't tighten them down real tight because this is plastic. I think, read 9 feetage pounds. I don't know that I'd go that tight. Let me get these rigged up, them in, and then we gotta put a head on. I don't know if the head keeps them from backing out or not. I hope it does. All right, there you go, fellas. Let me get this cleaned up a little bit, get a head on it. We got to put our little head dowels in. The only writing I see is front, right there. That's the front of the motor, so guess which way we're going to put it. According to this gasket, at least the gasket will help keep that bolt from backing out. Just in case you wanted to know. Time for the head. I got new head bolts. Let me go get them. Here are the small ones that kept me from getting the head off a few days ago. These are torque to yield. Torque to yield are a one-time use only. 2 short ones. I'm trying to figure out where they go. I believe it's on the ends. That's what it looks like. Wait a minute, something ain't jiving. That ain't right. Something ain't right. Well, here's the deal, fellers. There's been a lot of MLS and just pure ignorance on my part in the last 12 hours. Those who know my father, by the way, will get a kick out of that ignorance comment because it's it was his favorite word. It's true. Well, being ignorant ain't bad. Ignorance means you don't know about a certain subject or something. I'm very ignorant on LS motors. This is my first one. I'm learning as I go. I'll try to keep it as short as I can, but it's been a disaster. I think I left y'all off. I put the head on. I was putting the bolts in. I believe I said, well, something ain't right here. And it was not. My bolts were about that, literally about that much too long. Come find out, they changed head bolts in 2005. That's what this is, 2005. And went to O'Reilly's. They had them. But I had ordered a bunch of other parts, O'Reilly's. Nobody ordered them. I ordered them Friday night. Nobody ordered them. So, I got what they had. I got my new head bolts. Come back, put the head on, proceeded to check piston and valve clearance. That was a disaster. I wasted 3 or 4 hours on that. All because the lifter, when I pulled them out of the box here, this is what they come in. And there'll be some oil in here. And well, anyway, when I pulled it out, well, let me tell you this first. When you're checking piston and valve clearance, you want your lifter pumped up, and you can use a checker spring, light checker spring, or you can use a solid lifter. Well, I checked them when I pulled them out of the box here, put a push rod in the end of it, jammed on it. Wouldn't budge. I thought, good, they're pumped up. Put them in here, went to check piston and valve clearance. I was getting some weird readings. Brian Tooley Racing was concerned that piston and valve clearance would be an issue with this cam on the stock motor. Well, I was getting like 200, 250 thousandths clearance. I was like, no, ain't no way that's right. Long story short, the lifters somehow become unpumped. They collapsed. That messed my reading up. So I took an old lifter. You can tear them apart. You turn the plunger upside down, throw the spring away, put the plunger in upside down, put the cut back on, put it together. You got a solid lifter. That's what I did. And the exhaust valve checked out, but then I was getting some weird readings on the intake. That's a long story. I won't tell you right now. Well, the lifter was getting hung up in the, what is that called? The lifter, the little plastic piece. I don't even know what you call it. Lifter tray. Anyway, that messed my reading up because I ain't going to get into it. Anyway, finally, I got me a good piston to valve clearance reading. It ain't good. Exhaust valve, you want 100 thousandths. We're getting 90 to 95. Intake, you want 80. Getting 115, 125. That's good. Exhaust, not so much. I'm not an engine builder. Y'all know that. I definitely don't know LS. So here's what I'm going to do. I got a few options. Here's what I'm going to do right now. Well, let me tell you this firstly. I stayed up to about 3:30 this morning researching LS and looking for more because I still need parts. Went to bed about 3:30, woke up at 5:30, thinking about this motor. I laid there for an hour, wide awake. I was, well, let's get up. So it's 7:30 now. What I'm going to do in a few hours, because it's Sunday. Yes, I'm working on Sunday. I got to. I'm going to give it a few hours. I'm going to try to call our local engine builder, see what he thinks about my exhaust valve clearance. If he says run it, I'll tell him the whole setup. If he says run it, that's what we're going to do. If he says no, well, the only option I've got is to put the stock cam back in it. I mean, it'll hurt horsepower some, but right now I don't care, fellas. I just want to get it done. Also, I forgot about this, yeah. I don't even remember how I come about discovering this, but the head gasket I got, nope. They changed that in 2001, I think. Yeah, so I got to go get different head gaskets when I go pick up the other parts that I should have had yesterday. What I'm going to do right now, since I'm waiting to call our engine builder and those other parts and stuff won't be until about 2:30. Covering things up. I already got all the cleaned up parts covered up. I'm going to cover this motor up. We're going to get over here on the truck. We're going to start on that cross member. I'm going to cut it out, make a new one with the drive shaft loop. And after that, I need to get the brake issue figured out because it's still leaking. But anyway, that is my ignorance saga for the last 12 hours. If I get this truck ready for power tour in 7 days, it'll be a miracle. Yep. Maybe 8 if I work next Sunday and then leave early Monday morning to go to Joliet, Illinois. That's an option, but I got to get busy, fellas. Let's get this cross member cut out. All All right, I got to raise it up and get 4 on the bottom, then we can knock it out. Well, I think I got it cut out enough where we can knock her out. Let's see what happens. I may have to cut it in 2. Yeah, I'm gonna cut it in 2. Woo. There she is, fellas. Here's what I got so far. This is plate 5x9, 1/4 inch thick. Nothing over here. I'm not welding this solid. One reason why, because this is going to be compressed when you get on the gas. Out here, it's going to try to push in. So it don't need to be welded solid, I don't think, but I am going to stitch weld all the way around. After I do that, I got to cut a piece to come out, another piece to come out, drive shaft loop. It's 2.5 inch tubing, probably overkill, but that's okay. The loop will be the same thing, 2.5 inch. Let me get this welded in first. Got them welded up. Not bad for a blind man. Through the power of math, I've determined I'm going to have a 6 inch wide loop here. And through math and magic, I've decided I need 2 pieces coming out 11 inches to meet the loop. Let me go cut them. I'm going to get them tacked in, and I'll be back and show you that. I'm not going to show you a bunch of cutting and welding, fellas. Y'all done seen that. Got my 2 side pieces tacked in, and as you can see, we're all the way down. The bags, I got the airlines off, and they're squished as they're going to get. And see how far above we are. So I gotta take my tape measure if I can find it. I lay stuff down, man. I tell you what, my head, if it wasn't attached to my body, I'd lose it. I promise you I would. Anyway, I gotta take the tape measure and see. What do y'all think? Probably 7 inches would be more than enough. Yeah, 7 inches from here, and then I gotta raise it up and see what I need down there. Let me do that, and I'm gonna cut some pieces, and I shall return. Well, the danged engineer changed the plans, so I had to back up a little bit, but he decided instead of a loop, we'd do an arch with an angle. Oh yeah, looks pretty good. This, well, where is it at? It would be way down here, approximately, and I could probably get away with staying at the bottom of the frame. I thought, well, let's just leave it open at the bottom, do this, weld it up good, and it'll probably be okay, but if I see it flexing, well, we'll change it. I just got her tacked in right now. It's about lunchtime, so I'm going to go eat. Oh, I talked to the engine builder. Let me tell you what he said. He said, send it. That makes me feel so good, fellas. I didn't want to have to run the stock cam, and I didn't want to have to pull this one out. He told me they'll run as close as 75 thousandths piston to valve clearance on the exhaust, and he said as long as the intake ain't touching, he's okay. He said they've run them as close as 5,000. So I feel a lot better about this. I made sure I told him how I checked the piston to valve clearance, and he said, "Yep, that's how you do it." I'm happy. Yes, that's a load off my mind. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to eat lunch. Eating, well, first of all, I'm wasting away to nothing, but eating is like taking a sleeping pill to me. So I'm going to crash for a couple hours after I eat. Not to mention, I'm running on about 2 hours sleep, but I'm glad to get that pretty much done. I'll weld it up when we get back. I would like to go ahead and get the brake situation fixed because it's getting on my nerves, and it's almost done. It's something I can mark off the list. So I will probably do that afterwards, and then hopefully, if nothing else happens, putting that motor together, we will at least get it put together tonight. And here's the deal on that. I was going to put it on the run stand over there and run it for a few minutes. That'll take a couple hours to get everything set up and get hosed. I ain't going to say I won't, but I probably won't. We'll just see. If I got enough time this evening, we might. If not, we're going to just put it straight in here, get everything hooked up. We'll fire it up in here. Now, hopefully, fingers crossed, we ain't got no problems and don't have to pull it back out. Anyways, I'm going to eat. I'll see y'all in a couple hours. Well, there you have it, fellas. We are done with our archway. Oh yeah, it looks pretty. Don't look at the welds. I, I didn't look right when I was welding. When I got done, I come on here, put my helmet on the table, look down. There was my magnifying glass that goes in my helmet. So, yep, that's why I couldn't see. Anyway, this done. I went ahead and welded up these all the way too. Still waiting on a brace across here. Once I figure out what I'm gonna do with shocks, just glancing, probably gonna put the shocks on this side, so probably put a cross member in the middle. A lot of them put it just in the back. That looks goofy. Either do two or put it in the middle. Anyway, broke one of my fittings when I was raising this up off the airbag so I could get this to cover it. I had to order one of them. Matter of fact, I do it right now. What I want to do next, I was going to use just lock washers, but I got me some Teflon nuts. I got a bag of them the other day. There they are. Let's change all them out. Then we'll look at the brakes. I think we use a lock washer with that. How about that? Oh yeah, just right. Got all the nuts changed out, and I see a mistake already on this cross member. I was just looking to see how I was going to route my exhaust. I should have brought this cross member all the way up, and that'd give me a little more room, get my exhaust up off the ground, but it'll be all right. Ain't worry about it. I'm going to take a small break. We'll get back. I'm going to see what's going on with the brakes. Maybe we can get the leak stopped. Well, I've been working on the brakes for an hour or so. I think I got them. All I did was loosen that one, look at it, put it back on. It don't leak anymore. These up here, I don't think are leaking. We'll give them till in the morning. But it had the copper whooshers on there. And some of them look like it didn't imprint all the way around like it's cocked. What it might be is the threads in the hole should be perfectly perpendicular with the flat surface. They're probably cocked just a little bit. But what I did is I had these. I think these came with the calipers from Dude. And I use them. They're the silver kind. I don't know, but it ain't leaking. Got them bled. Hopefully we're done with that. The only thing we like back here, well, we'll go over that in a little while maybe. Or tomorrow sometime. But right now, what we're fixing to do, uncover this aggravating thing right here. Because it worried the pee out of me yesterday, man. I ain't kidding you. Last night. What I'm going to do, I went and got my new gaskets and stuff from O'Reilly's a minute ago. I'm going to run y'all through piston to valve. I'll show you how you check it. And then after that, I'm probably going to turn the camera off and get this thing put together. We're going to check piston to valve clearance. I got a solid lifter, checking spring, and we got to set this to 0 lash. You don't just tighten that bolt down. Basically what you do is you run it down till it's finger tight, and that's pretty much 0 lash. But you can check it, make sure you ain't got no up and down motion. Then after you do that, I got to get my dial indicator set up. Let me do that and I'll be right back. You want this needle parallel with the valve. Now what you want to do, I got my degree wheel on here. I got it set for top dead center. You have to have that to check this. And what you want to do is we're checking exhaust first. So let's roll her on around. Our exhaust is going down. And when the piston's coming back up on the exhaust stroke, well, this is the valve, this is the piston. The piston's chasing the valve. And it gets really, really close up here, closer to the, well, the trouble area for the exhaust valve is 5 to 10 degrees before top dead center. And then intake is 5 to 10 degrees after. So what you want to do is look at your degree wheel. Well, you can start checking around 20 before. That's 20 right there. Let me put this on 0. Read online that you want 100 thousandths, but our local engine builder said he's run it down to 75. All you do is push your rocker arm down, watching your needle till it stops. When it stops, it's hitting the piston. So you got 100, 200. Something ain't right. You know what I've done? This is what happened yesterday. I've done it again, probably. I don't know if I told you or not. Our lifter tray will hang on to the push rod. I mean, to the lifter, and won't let it go all the way down. You have to manually push it down before you set your valve lash. That's probably what happened. Let me back it up and check that and see what we got going on. Get her back to the old top dead center. Let me set zero lash again. This is what I dealt with last night, and it drove me nuts. I never, it just, yeah. Let me tell you, if it starts it again tonight, I'm gonna go in the dad blame house. I ain't putting up with it. All right, I'm gonna roll her around till we get on the exhaust stroke, which is right here. There's bottom dead center, and we're coming up on the exhaust stroke. We're at, let's start it. There's 20 degrees before top dead center. Set this to 0. Push this down and count how much it moves. 140. Well, 138, somewhere in there. All right, you want to move it a couple of degrees at a time. So let's go, that's about 17-ish before. Put it on 0 just to make it easier to count. 125 or so. Go another 2 degrees. Let's go on to, that's about 12 right there. Let's see what that does. 100. They were getting tight. That's about 102 or 3. This is where you slow down and go a couple degrees at a time. Here's 10. 5 to 10 before is your biggest trouble area. We got, see, we got about 96-ish, 7-ish there. That's really pushing it. Then you go on to, we'll go to about 7 or 8-ish. Push her down. That's 97-ish. Go to 5. There's 98. Another 2 degrees. Now we're going, that's 101. So we're opening up again, but let's just go on around and check it. This is 0, top dead center right here. 100 and, I don't know, 15. I can't count. But anyway, the gap's opening back up now. So 95 thousandths is the clearance we've got when the piston and the valve are at their closest. Internet says 100, 95, 97, 95, whatever. Pretty close to 100. Like I said, our engine builder said he runs them down to 75. And I said, well, if it's good for you, it's good for me, because I guarantee you the motors he builds are a lot more powerful than anything I build. Yep. Anyway, get her back on top dead center. The reason you get it on top dead center is you want your cam on the base circle where there's no lift going on, so you can set your 0 lash. Loose the feller up a little bit, make sure, see how it dropped? That lifter was being held up by the lifter tray. That happened to me 2 or 3 times last night. Man, it made me so mad. But you just run that bolt down till it stops, finger tight, and that's 0 lash. Get your dial indicator back over here. Let me get it set up. Got her set pretty good, so let's roll it on around till our intake starts opening. Approximately right in there. Now let's back up just a little bit. Start it. We'll start at 10. That's 10 before. I'm set it on 0. That's a bunch. 100, 200, 10. Let me go to 0, see where we're at there. Because 5 to 10 after is where you have trouble with the intake. $130. See, we went from what, 200 something to 130. Now we'll go to, that's about 2 after. 125, 27. Now here's 5 after. 120. See, that closed up a little bit, but you only need 80 on the intake. Well, matter of fact, he said that as long as it don't touch, he said that he's running as tight as 5 thousandths. That's, man, that's close. That's 118, 15, somewhere in there. We're coming up on 10, and that's in the trouble area. 120, we're good on the intake. I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to show because it can get boring if you're not interested in that type of stuff, but I just wanted to show y'all that. I've also checked push rod length, and I think I told y'all we're a wee bit short, but I don't think I can get custom length ones here in time. We're going to run these whenever we fire it up. If it don't rattle, shorter, too short a push rod will make it rattle. Because you don't have as much preload as you need. If it rattles, we may have to do something, but if it don't, I ain't gonna worry about it. I've already checked retainer to valve seal clearance, plenty. Here's what I'm fixing to do. I'm gonna shut this camera off. I'm fixing to put this motor together. I'm about to lose my second wind, and I've still got 3 or 4 hours of editing to do because I didn't do any last night. I didn't do any night before. Yeah, so it's 3 or 4 hours of that after I get done with this. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Hopefully this will be together. I won't have any more trouble. Till then, I'll see you later. If you will recall, just a few short months ago, LT1 busted a cylinder because I let a header bolt drop off in the intake hole. Well, y'all look here what I'm fixing to do again. I laid these rear cover bolts up here and then immediately said, no, sir, get them off of there. I'm going to count them. If we're missing one, we got to tear the motor down. Well, I'm pretty sure I've lost my mind. I'm just about ready to get the motor set in here. I'm not sure I'm going to do it just yet, but getting the motor mounts ready. I come over here doing some measuring because the motor mounts are adjustable. And I was getting wires out of the way, preparing. And I grabbed my air line here, from my 2 front airbags. I grabbed this and I thought, man, that feels weird. Why does that feel so weird? I plugged the radio antenna into this line right here. Fellas, I need to just quit and go in the house for a little while, but I can't. Anyway, I got to get back over and get this motor ready to go in here. Well, it tells the next night. Yep, see the window over there at the door? It is nighttime. But this is finally done. Yep. I spent half the day in town, 3 or 4 hours. We do have tags for that though. Awesome. Took an hour today to get that damper on. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I tried making my own installer. Where's it at? It's over here, I think. It's just a piece of all thread, M16 by 2.0 with a couple of wishers, acting as thrust washers. Well, it got within about 1/8 of an inch being all the way on. Then this just stopped turning. I don't know what happened. These threads galled it, I guess. I thought I wasn't going to be able to get that out. Finally did, but yeah, that took a while. What else have I done? We got a oil cooler bypass or a block off right here. Got my motor mounts. I had to modify this side over here because it's got bosses for the air conditioner bracket. They were hitting, so I had to modify them. That's about it. It's done. It's ugly. I don't care. I'm not painting it right now. I got this up here because we've got to get the blower put together, sitting up here, and check our alignment on our pulleys. Because I'm not 100% they're going to line up. I may have to use some more spacers. So I got my seals today. Just got done putting them in. So let's get this little fella put together. Can we please get this thing put together? Because I'm tired I'm just tired, but I'm also tired of fooling with all of this stuff. I want to be done. Let me make sure this is the wide pattern. So yeah, I got my holes plugged because the Earl's gonna be in front. One punch mark. So we go with, which one is the front? I think it's this in here. One punch mark. A number 2 that I punched in there also, yep. All right, fellas, let's get our rotors in. Just like that, like there, and our missing spline points at numeral 3 area. And then the drive, we'll do the same thing to it. Just like that right there. Put a little bit of this on hither. Can I get this front cover on without tearing these seals up? These are Teflon. The other ones were rubber. We'll see here in just a moment, I guess. By George, it's down. Now, I've got to find some bolts. I think I've got some of the old bolts. I think, actually, okay, I see what it is now. There should be 2 Allen head bolts in here. Or these ones here. They're flathead. Yep. They go down in here to tighten this down, hold it in place. Your cover bolts go down through here. But these are to tighten it up, hold it in place. Now let me clean this up here, because that'll look goofy if I let that dry. And yep. I have not gotten hardly anything done today. Like I said, I spent 3 or 4 hours in town getting more parts. Went by the bolt store and got all of the bolts for the front accessory, except for the power steering pump. I couldn't figure out what we needed because I didn't have the pump. I got tags, like I said, had to wait an hour or more down there. Man, they were busy. Then I come home and finished putting the motor together. Now we're doing this. I don't think I'm gonna get done, fellas. I really don't. Now, I've got me a cheat sheet here from one guy who went through pretty much all the steps. We are at install bearings. Front bearings. I don't know what to do here because these run in the oil, but they're shielded bearings. Do you pull one of the shields off or do you leave it like it is? I don't know what to do. So let me go do a little studying on that and I'll be right back. Maybe I'll figure it out. Well, I think I just got my answer. I had to have seals. Got them from Alki Digger. I had to buy the whole rebuild kit, bearings and all. They wouldn't just give me the seals. But I took one of the bearings out of the box and look at there. No shield on them bearings. That's what I thought, but I just, wanted to double check. Let's get them bearings on there. To get that shield off, I took my pocket knife and it'll probably pull off with it. Let me see. Yeah, it will. Okay. First one, it wouldn't, but that'll work there. Let me do the other one and then we'll get these knocked on. I don't have the proper tool as usual. So I'm gonna use this. Well, this is a sealing bearing driver, but I can only drive it just to maybe half thickness of that because we're gonna hit the shaft. But I'm hoping maybe this will at least get it started straight and then might be able to use a socket. I don't know. Oh, that ain't driving nowhere near as hard as I thought it would. All right. Well, let me see if I can find a socket that'll fit that. Will these one work? There. Go over the shaft. Oh, yeah. I don't want to mess them splines. If I do that, we're done. All right, now we're getting into the housing. Well, that wasn't nowhere near what I thought it was going to be. I was really nervous about that. It sure was. Where'd the other bearing go? Here it is. All right. I got to install bearing retainers right here. I will look the torque specs up here in a little while, but right now what we got to do next, let me look at my cheat sheet. Pull rotors tight to bearings with something. What kind of instructions is that? Let me see what I figure out. What you gotta do is put your little collar over here and then run you a bolt down in here and it'll pull that shaft up because, you know, we're just hitting against wood right here. Let me figure out what I'm gonna do there. I found a socket. What is that? Craftsman 1 inch fits over the shaft. Bolt fits in it. We're gonna see what happens right here. I'm gonna put my hammer handle in between these rotors, and that should hold it still. Well, I might need to do it up here instead. Well, that feels pretty tight. Now you gotta put this feller back here in between them so you can loosen it. It didn't go a lot, but it did move some. We'll put her over here and do the same thing. You'll see that's a full turn, about a turn and a half before she bottoms out. So yeah. Now what do we do? Flip case, put on Loctite, install rear plate. Now here's something else that I never could find the answer to. You know, we swapped rotor side to side and flipped them end to end. I couldn't find anybody to tell me if you swap the plates. Here's why I don't think you should, because they're pinned. It belongs on this end. I may be totally wrong. We won't know until I get it put together, but that's my thinking. I'm just making sure we got a little clearance there. Clearance, we got it. Now I got to do some more anaerobic gasket maker on this side. I should have videoed this entire process on this blower for posterity's sake, because there's a good chance, you know, we may build another one of these. Some of you might be wondering, why didn't you just go buy one? Let me tell you why. $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 is exactly why. Versus, I gave $90 for it 30-something years ago. No, 40-something years ago. Man, I'm getting old. And then the bearing kit, if I'd have got the right seals, that was $100. That triple pin kit was $50. And that's pretty much it. That rebuilds it. So add them up, and that's what it costs. So compare that to, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 for an aftermarket one. It's a no-brainer for me. These may be getting harder to find, though. I don't know, but I tell you what, I'm gonna start looking for them on Marketplace because they don't make them anymore. I wouldn't mind having one or two more of them. If you got one for sale, let me know in the comments and or email me at thisandthatgarage1@gmail.com. Let me show you what I did here. These run in grease. There's not an oil bath. It's got the old original oil holes, one here and one here, one here and one here. Well, I started once to drill and tap and put a plug in it, but it comes out, I don't guess I had to go all the way through, but it comes out over here. Been too close right here. I was afraid I was gonna bust out, so I just took some RT&V, put down in there to keep the grease in. Top, which way does this feller go? That says top. So that's where we're gonna put it, I think. Let me see. Nope, I was about to do it backwards. Because my punch marks, yep, go just like that right there. Top, what that means, you gotta remember these blowers set sideways. That's not sideways, that's sideways. That's sideways, I'll get in a minute. Like the motor's here, the blower would have been going this way on the side of it. So see what that says there, top. Yep, it's not top like this because that's not how it's set. Thoroughly confused y'all and myself. So let's get this put on. Hopefully we don't mess these seals up either. You know what? Let me put just a wee bit of lube on them. All right, I got them lubricated up. Get your pins lined up. Approximate like that and push them on down. There you go, fellers. Install bolts and tighten 250 inch-pounds. Start middle out. I should have two of them big screws again, but maybe not. I don't see them. Well, that ain't good. I tore this thing apart when I was probably 14 years old. And there's no telling where they're at. Probably don't need them. So let me go get some new bolts. I got to figure out length and all that. I'll be right back. Here's the deal. I don't have enough bolts to even do one end. I got 6, I think. The next one's down or too short. The next one's up or too long. We may have to wait till tomorrow after I get the proper length bolts to check clearances. But my main goal tonight is get this put together, set it on that motor over there, and see about our pulleys lining up. What's next on the list after I drop this on the floor? Install bearings, remove one shield, packed with grease. Like I said, these don't run in an oil bath. Put some grease in the bearing. They're already greased, but I'm gonna give them some more. And then you wanna pack a little bit in the hole, but don't put too much because it might try to push that seal out. Just so you know, these bearings do not bottom out on the housing. They bottom out on the shaft. It sticks up just a wee bit more than the housing. Just squishing the grease out. Pop the seal. Which that's okay. Let me go ahead and pull. I think I'll pull both of them off. How about that? And then we'll pack her with some more grease. Yep. Well, there's one. It popped that and loose too. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and take them both off. All right, maybe that'll be enough. You know what? We'll find out eventually if it is or not. Yep, if the bearing locks up. I've had several of y'all tell me that it don't seem like nothing scares me away, you know, from trying it. That's the truth. There's only, well, I guess there's really 2 ways to learn. One, you read about it. What fun is that, though? The other way is get out there and do it. And you will screw up. Y'all know, you've seen me. I screw up a lot, but that's all right. Best way to learn. I got 2 little caps to put on here. Look at these shiny little fellers right here. That's going to look real good on that blower. The way it looks, yep. They go approximately like that. These are the wrong size bolts. Yep, sure are. Well, not only are these bolts too small for the holes, them going in and out, this bolt pattern ain't even right. Nope, sure ain't. And I'll have to make a plate. Yay, there's something else to do. I got plenty of time, I guess. The fella that made the video that I watched rebuilding this, he checked his clearances at this time. Guess what? Ain't gonna work. No. 6 thousandths minimum. That's 6 right there and it won't go. Nope. Here's 5. 5 goes. Well, sort of. It's a tight 5, but it does go. I'm not sure if I want to risk it or not. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's just go ahead and get the cover on the front and get it on the motor. And then I'll worry about that. I got to put the gears on. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to put the gears on yet because those clearances being off. Let's go ahead and put the cover on, snout, pulleys and all that. I'll see y'all when I get it ready for the motor. Well, here the little fella is sitting on top of this motor. She sure is tall. Yeah. Now I got to read the instructions because I ain't 100% sure what goes here next. Here's the pulley. Look how big that thing is. I think this is one of the spacers. It will go like this right here. You gotta line these bolts up. This feller is going right here. Ooh, come on now. This is a 56 tooth And the bottom one will be a 52. I gotta get my bolts out. That's 7% underdrive. And if we swap them, it will be 7% overdrive. This is what he picked. Just guessing. Because I told him I wanted about 8 or 10 PSFIs. So we should be pretty close. I ain't gonna be dead on. If we're 7 or 11, okay, whatever. Now I got to line all these fellers up. All right, now I gotta get the bottom pulley and adapter on. Best I can tell, this feller is gonna go on there. I'm not 100% sure, but we put that spacer up here. I think we can do the same down here too if we have to. I'm not putting all the bolts in yet. We're just trying to get a guesstimate on our pulley alignment. Let me get a straight edge, see how close we are. I'm gonna try to get y'all directly in line and up close where you can see what's going on. I'll put this straight edge. Let's try it on the bottom first. It ain't bad. It could use another 1/4 inch spacer. Yep. Let me get a tape measure, make sure, or something to stick in there. Get a 1/4 inch drill bit. How about that? Well, I got my transfer punch instead because I couldn't find a 1/4 inch drill bit. Will a 1/4 inch go? Not quite. So let me see what we do need. I'm gonna say it doesn't have to be just dead on, but it needs to be close. Not that one. Look at there, that one there barely goes. All right, let me measure that and see what it is. Oh yeah, my knees. What do we have? 165, 66 thousandths. A little more than an eighth, a little less than a quarter. It may be okay. I'll send him an email here in a little bit and see what he thinks. Yeah, that may be plenty good. Let me get the belt real quick. I want to see how wide this belt is compared to the pulley. So you got probably 1/4 inch on either side. So he may say that's okay. You got your tensioner. It is a swing arm type. It hooks right here, and you got an idler pulley right here, and you swing it out, and then you tighten it up, clamps on that. I'll get that out in a minute, make sure that belt is going to work, but this may be good enough. There you go, fellers. We got us a 671 sitting on a Holley high ram, sitting on a LS 6.0 here at Backyard Butchery, capital of the world. Blower ain't ready. I got to figure out the clearances. Yeah, at least we got it mocked up, and we know old boy was pretty good. Yep, with that 1/4 inch spacer. Here's the swing arm that I told you about. You tighten it up here, see it's got a slit, and it just clamps on this snout. I will probably turn that around if you can and put that on the bottom. But yeah, there you go. Belt looks pretty good. It's loose, of course, because the blower ain't even bolted down, but there you go. Well, I didn't get a whole lot done today, but you got to admit, that little fella right there looks pretty mean. Oh, yeah. He's going to look even meaner sticking out of the hood of that old pile of garbage. Can't wait to see that. I'm going to have to shut her off tonight, though. It's about 11 o'clock. Last night, well, I worked, I think, about 14 hours yesterday on 2 hours sleep. I did get a little nap after I ate lunch, but yeah, when I finally got in the house last night, I was toast. I sat down at the computer and was going to try to edit. No, so as soon as I sat down, I went, well, no editing last night. Nope. So I got to stop tonight because I can't leave here without a video done and edited because I may not get back in time, to finish it. What I'm getting at is we're going to cut it off here, but this is Monday night. I ain't got, but if I leave Sunday, I got 5 days to get this truck done. If I work Sunday, that gives me 6 days. I can leave early Monday, and if we don't have any trouble, get up there in time to, get my long hauler stuff, all my credentials. I'm going to have to get it in gear. Yep. Anyways, I'll check with him on whether we need another spacer or not. And tomorrow, I don't know how much I'm going to film because I'm just telling you right now, this camera does slow me down. I'm going to try to video as much as I can, but I got to bust this stuff out. Anyways, I'll see y'all tomorrow, and maybe we can get a whole lot more stuff done. Well, I'm coming to you from sometime in the future, just a day or two. Finally got a little time to do some editing, and right now in the video, we are well over 2 hours, as y'all have figured out. Still got a massive amount of work to do to Lockjaw, so we're going to have to cut her off right here. I'm going to do my dangest. We got, I don't know, at this point in the video, 5 or 6 days left. I'm going to do my dangest to get this little feller here ready for power tour. Time will tell if that happens. I will tell you this, though. 14-year-old me, he'd be plumb giddy right now seeing the blower sitting on top of that motor. Oh, yeah, that is awesome. It really is. Anyways, cross your fingers. I wish I could cross mine. They're too fat, I guess. Cross your fingers that I get this little feller done. And, good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. See y'all on the next one.